Hello everyone, and welcome back to Videotapes Experiments. Now, if you're anything like me, your folks were probably a little into Stephen King. My nana was into Stephen King, which means my mom was into Stephen King, which means I'm into Stephen King. Probably my favorite is the Dark Tower series. That's the real mwah, chef's kiss, good stuff. But there's so much else that Stephen King does that I enjoy. The Long Walk being one of those things. It's a sort of a yearly tradition for me and my ma to listen to The Long Walk. Once a year, summertime, around the time they would have actually done the walk in the story. And being that time of year again, I just finished the audiobook and the movie. And going back to the movie, my memory of the movie was almost entirely positive. I remember really enjoying that theater experience, jumping with everyone and crying with everyone. I loved that movie when it came out. And my mom didn't, which at the time kind of confused me. But, after this most recent rewatch, I understand why. So if you folks want to join me, I'd love to talk a bit about Francis Lawrence, The Long Walk. Francis Lawrence's The Long Walk, directed by Francis Lawrence? I guess. Anyway, I want to talk about The Long Walk movie and why I like it and why I don't like it. So, if you're interested in joining me, let's get to it. Let's start walking.
Walk. Now walk.
Starting right at the beginning of the movie, I think it's interesting to compare how Raymond basically gets dropped off. In the book, Raymond gets dropped off. He hands his ticket through the window. Soldier takes it. And his mom very nervously is like, aren't they supposed to give it back? I thought they were supposed to give it back. And he's telling her to chill, but that doesn't really happen in the movie. He just takes the card and they wave her through, It's a bit more obvious. And that's going to kind of be a theme throughout this first section of the movie, is that all those more subtle toned down reactions are really played up here. Another great example is our first appearance of the Major. In the book, the Major quite literally says, when he pulls up that first time, he's like, now's not the time to make speeches. And in this movie, he makes quite the fucking speech.
As you all know, our country has been in a period of financial struggle since the war. And we did the first long walk all those years ago to inspire and reintegrate the value of work ethic.
There's a scene briefly before the Major arrives where Olsen actually mentions Hint 13. Hint 13, conserve energy whenever possible. You didn't need to fucking say that shit, Olsen. It just, this movie does a lot of telling instead of showing right at the beginning. But we are just at the beginning, of course. The walk literally hasn't even started yet.
Walk. Now walk.
17 minutes in, and we have just heard Garrity's manifesto? Major sort of change. Not necessarily in politics necessarily, but in the character. And it's that I feel like the Ray Garrity we get to hang out with in the book is deeply confused. He is really grappling with his relationship with Jan and what that is and what he puts it on a pedestal as and the reality of it. And he doesn't really understand why he's there at the start of the book. I don't think that's just something he says to Pete. I'm not really sure why I'm here. I really think he doesn't know. And he sort of finds an answer along the way, as close to an answer as we're going to get out of this story, So I think it is so interesting that the movie has taken this character that is so enigmatic and confused and grabbing at things and letting them go just to see what sticks, and kind of makes him a bit more of an incel. Honestly, we're, again, 17 minutes in. We've just had Garrity's manifesto here, but I am really not a fan of that character change. I miss the subtle, enigmatic uncertainty from the book.
Walk. Now walk.
Curly's dead, and we got the Canva free-to-use Arial font for the title card, the late in the game title card. Man, for as much as I talked about Ray, Pete McVries, I've never really noticed this. I've seen this movie 2 other times before my current watch through that I'm in the beginnings of here, but in the book, right? They're fucking boys. They're just boys. Pete really feels a little bit like an actor. Like, he feels like an actor acting, which he's giving a great performance, honestly. Like, he's a good actor.
They say we have a choice to sign up for the lottery, but do any of you know anyone ever who hasn't?
Exactly.
But, yeah, there's just something about that authenticity. Even with our first kill, Curly is dead. We've had our title card. Oh man, that kill was fucking brutal. It was, but it was also CGI, which I know we only see it for like a second anyway. But if you're really trying to sell the visceral impact of the brutality of the long walk, was the CGI the best choice for that? Anyways,
Walk. Now walk.
gonna have more Pete complaining to do later, but for now, let's talk about just a wonderful sequence. The Rank Barkovich scene, baby. Barkovich getting Rank killed. Man, Barkovich is such a little shitbird in the novel. And if you've listened to the audiobook, he's super nasally. The narrator there does him so nasally. I adore this Barkovich performance. We're gonna talk more about Olsen later too. He's really shining in these next couple minutes. But wow, watching Rank get killed is so fucking good. Like, I'm giggling the whole time. It's a horrible scene, a horrible death by a horrible man, but it's so awesome. I love that Barkovich is a little camera now. I don't believe that's a detail at all in the book, but he's just snapping little shit pics. Bro, I love you, Barkovich. We love Barkovich. Mwah.
Walk. Now walk.
Not much to say about it, but I feel like I'd get some flack if I didn't mention it. Guy goes poopy. There's a poopy guy. He looks like one of fucking Winona Ryder's kids in Stranger Things, and he does a poopy. Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Walk.
Next up, the Big Bad Hill. And our first gay nod? Like, yeah, they were joking about it earlier, but that was our first real, like, do you have a lady, Pete? No, I don't, right? Damn, the boy kissers out there were going crazy. The kiki that was happening when that scene occurred, I bet, was great. Pardon me. Definitely realizing more as I get into this movie how much I enjoyed seeing it in a theater and how much that like affected my experience of it. That walking up the dark hill scene in a theater was intense. Like, I felt intense. Like, my heart rate went up. I was like, holy shit, dude.
You can do this.
Watching it here on my couch, yeah. Shockingly, I don't feel as affected. But yeah, that was cool. Like, yeah, no, that's great. Hope more gay to come.
Walk. Now walk.
I'm gonna go.
Well, there goes Harkness. I don't think I really mentioned it earlier, but you can notice Harkness have that, like, flappy foot a little earlier than it's kind of brought to attention in the movie. I don't think you can see it in The Hill, but I think you might be able to. I feel like I noticed it a little earlier this time, so that's pretty cool. I mean, this movie has some pretty good kills, honestly, and this one kind of gets lost in the sea of it. But a moment of silence for Harkness and his pretty solid kill in a movie full of pretty solid kills.
Walk.
Collie Parker seems to be a combination of his character's namesake, Collie Parker, and two characters that we don't get in this version. Of course, in the novel, there's 100 walkers. In the movie, there are 50. And in this novel, two of those walkers are leather jacket wearing Hopi Indians, as they're described by Stephen King himself. So it's kind of cool that we get to merge those characters. I sure hope nothing bad happens to Collie Parker that makes me want to cry.
Walk.
Interesting note here. I'm now 50 minutes into the film, for the curious. There's specifically a scene, I don't remember this being in the book, where they're talking about Art Baker says, if I win, I'm going to ask for a rocket trip to the moon. I'm going to go to the moon. One kid one year, he asked for an elephant. They gave it to him. They just gave him an elephant with a saddle, and he rode off on it. Which, of course, on your first watch is like silly, but that is really like part of the whole point of the Long Walk, is to show that like you can have whatever you want here, despite the disparity and the tragedy. You can have whatever you want, despite the endless empty buildings and gray-brown farmland. We'll give you whatever. Yeah, you get it. You know, I just thought that was interesting. Anyway, let's keep walking.
Bonk.
Art Baker wants a trip to the moon. Hank Olson would like 10 naked ladies with huge boobaloobaloobies. Pete would like the Long Walk to have 2 winners instead of 1. And Ray Garrity, he's not telling. That's not it. That's what he's saying. He's like, I'm not even gonna fucking tell anybody about that.
You want to know what he wished for? You want to know what he wanted? He wanted a gun. Yeah, he wanted a gun. He wanted a fucking hand cannon. He wanted a gun. He wanted a gun so he could shoot the major and incite political change. He wanted a gun.
All right, we just got our daddy flashback. We're finally 1 hour into the movie. I had a weed break. I smoked a little. Why? Why did we do that? Why did we break the, like, I get it. It can't be constant, like, tension on the road. But, like, did we need that? All that little scene? I thought the dream that he had earlier, where we got, like, less than 30 seconds, that felt perfect. Like, what you would get from a dream, you know? In the book, too, it's much more like his father is killed by, like, the faceless entity. He just gets squatted. Like, it's not like the major shows up in person. It's like, I'm gonna kill you for not being a cool guy. Like, it's so weird to put the major in that role. Like, I think that's part of the dread of the Long Walk, is that all of this is done by a faceless kind of government. And the closest thing we get to a face is the major, of course. But you don't need to put him there. You don't need to make the major you know what I mean? I guess you do. Moving on. Let's keep walking. Whew, my feet are getting tired. Aren't yours, Lola? Or
Bonk.
fun on-the-road conversation here that we get between Pete and Ray, sort of challenging his father, where he says, like, my father was the last, like, good person on this earth. And Pete's being like, was he? Like, he chose to fucking leave you. That's genuinely compelling. I like this conversation. I like where that's going. But, yeah, we sure did have to slog a little through that little scene to get there, huh? Give and take, I guess.
Bonk.
Okay, 2 sort of events here, back to back. We have legs go squish, and we have I'm gonna take off all my clothes and jump into the ditch, I guess. There is a novel equivalent scene where somebody tries to, like, slowly sneak off. It's Percy, actually. I'm pretty sure that's Percy, whose mom won't stop fucking checking on him, and whose mom comes back to check on him. But one other thing that I noticed is, in the book, you hear a lot about the grapevine, because there's 100 people, so you hear shit passed down through the grapevine, like jokes and news, and, like, jokes come back one way and come out the other way, totally different, you know, like a big game of telephone. And you don't really get that when your Long Walk only has 50 people. So just thought that was interesting. How far into the fucking movie am I now? I don't even know. I just gotta keep walking.
Bonk.
You know, we've had our fun during this movie, poking our holes. The death of Hank Olson, I don't.
Why'd you do this?
Wow.
I did it wrong. I did it all wrong.
Just fucking wow. Wow. Oh, okay. Now that we've dried our eyes a little, Jesus Christ, my guy was married? No, not in the book. But yes, in this, my guy was married. Fuck. Oh my god. What an incredible role. Shout out to that actor. What an incredible actor. Throw him up on the screen. Look at that. Look at that little guy. God damn it. He fucking killed it. Holy shit. What a role. And he was married. But don't worry. In honor of Clementine, we actually all agreed. All the guys that are left agreed to like and subscribe to the channel. Also, Stebbins is not looking so good. He's sick, by the way.
Oh no.
Would you tell on me if I said Barkovich is relatable?
Actually, you know what? You should write him a song, songwriter.
Wait! Hear me out. Oh my God. Have at least I have, certainly. You can probably tell by my content. I haven't always been, certainly, the most mentally stable. I definitely had some anxiety issues and just self-worth and gender confusion and all kinds of problems. So I deeply relate to poor fucking Barkovich, man. What a little shitbird. Another incredible performance in this movie, especially after Olsen. It is a fucking tough act to follow, Hank Olsen. But you know what, Gary? Old Gary Barkovich, you did it. You're no Hank Olsen, and you never will be, but you are your own unique little nightmare, and I weep for the way his story had to end.
Force forever now, okay?
More movie. Side note, are the horses in right after like Barkovich gets shot, is that a reference to they shoot horses, don't they? That's a pretty deep cut, but I mean, is it? Question mark?
Walk. Now walk.
Jesus. We get another awesome scene of acting here with Ray finally getting to see his mom in this tiny ass town with nobody else on the side of the road at all. Just her. And goddamn, that's another one that just hits. Very similar to Olsen's I Did It All Wrong. Is just his desperate, like, I'm so sorry. I didn't understand. Like, that is something I think all children eventually will end up saying to their parents. I am so sorry. I didn't understand. Because you just, it just hits. For all the obvious reasons. Another awesome scene. That poor woman.
Walk. Now walk.
All right, so we got Peter's new backstory, which doesn't match at all what the book backstory for him is, and you may think I'm complaining about that. Absolutely not. Peter McVries from the book fucking sucks. He's the worst. He basically in the book he moved out with this lovely young lady to the big city where he was living in a place with like 4 other dudes and she was living in a place with like 4 other girls. He was working a shithole job at a PJ factory while the wife was like sewing on buttons on the top level of the factory while he was in the like hell level dungeon. They argued about money and how they were living, and one thing led to another, and she cut his face with like a novelty letter opener. A fucking Paddington Bear novelty letter opener is how Peter McVries gets his scar in the book. Now in the movie, no. Peter McVries, that Peter McVries boy, that's the boy who never knew his parents, who was taken in by his drunk uncle, only to run away from that uncle and hide from the law by getting into fights and stealing shit until the state found him, and then he got God, and now he's doing the walk. Because he has the light. Don't you get it? It all makes sense. Obviously, I'm being a little silly, but Eric is a big fan of that pivot. Your boy Eric here, I really like that. I kind of like that, how they changed Pete. Again, Book Pete, kind of a piece of shit. Kind of a misogynist, yucky boy who we hate. But Movie Pete is a singer, songwriter, poet. Like, they fucking changed him so much. And I totally understand how people who, like, absolutely adore the novel would have seen this and been like, what? Wait, what? Fucking poet songwriter? He's like a fucking misogynist hick at the book. So We love woke Pete McVries, don't we, folks? We love Boke Peter McVries. Boke Peter.
Walk. Now walk.
And so Collie Parker went out on his own terms. Again, another fantastic, like, individual character moment in this movie. Super, like, solid kill. He went out on his own terms. Like I says, I just love it, man. This is another awesome scene. We're so close to the finish line now. We have Ray, Stebbins, and Pete. Who's gonna win? I mean, nobody.
Walk. Now walk.
And, of course, the death of Stebbins, which is a great opportunity to talk about how his character has shifted. Throughout the book, he sort of, I would say he haunts Garrity. He sort of circles around. We check in with him 4 or 5 times, sort of rhythmically throughout the story, and Garrity feels like almost obsessed with him. Like, Stebbins has wormed his way into Garrity's fucking head. Like, he's seeping into his dreams, you know? When I say haunting, I don't mean like, you know, the Phantom of the Opera. He's not like taking any joy from it. He's just got this like omnipotence that makes him kind of unnerving throughout the whole book. And a little less so, I'd say, throughout the movie. Great performance from Stebbins, the character actor there. Certainly not his fault, I wouldn't say. But, yeah, I do wish we got a bit more of that, like, Stebbins obsession, which sort of plays into the gay thing, which never really comes up. Ray Garrity playing Doctor with Jimmy as a boy. I don't think we have yet to discuss Ray Garrity playing Doctor with Jimmy as a boy. So, let's see if we can get gay now that it's down to the final 2.
Walk. Now walk.
Well, that sure was an ending, huh? Yeah, you know, that is a tough ending to defend. As much as I like some of the smaller character tweaks, I think overall, to end the story, I just feel like that just... For example, I think a great way to support my point is that the death of the Major doesn't really make me feel anything. I'm not really like, fuck yeah, get him. It's like, okay, yeah, no, he's, yeah, you you shot him, I guess. Yeah, did we really? It was just so. Honestly, I think the best moment in that finale is watching Ray and Peter just silently stare at each other before Pete tries to take his step back. And another thing, this was bugging me a lot this watch through specifically. If you walked 331 miles and stopped to take a knee, I bet you I would eat my shorts if you'd be able to get back up after that. They mention that repeatedly in the book. Ray Garrity has the thought like many times of like, if I trip and fall right now, I am dead. I do not physically have the strength to get back up again. Like, I can't ignore that. You know, that's so distracting in hindsight watching this finale. But yeah, it's a weird double-edged sword, this movie, where it's a story I love and grew up with and am so happy to see on the big screen. And it delivers on a lot of the key emotional moments in the book, but I think it feels a little bit like those super ultra modern apartments where everything's white. It's a little, I'm certainly not saying it's whitewashed, to be clear. I guess I'm just saying it feels a little, like, sanitized. A lot of the rough edges kind of got hedged off, and what we're left with, like, doesn't really jive as well. I know King said, like, I like this ending better than my original ending, which is fair. He wrote it when he was, like, 19, but personally, I prefer the vague mystery ending of the book, you know? It confused the hell out of me as a kid and frustrated me, and it still confuses me, to be honest, but I think that's a good thing. I think it's good to be confused sometimes, so yeah, I guess my final thoughts. Is it a good movie? Yes, I think it's a good movie. It's got some really good actors delivering really good performances. It's a good movie. Is it great? Is it like A24 Criterion shit? No. It's, at the end of the day, it's a Stephen King adaptation. You know, I think that's what I really didn't enjoy so much about the book is that so many Stephen King isms. A great example of this is the fucking laundry. Him talking about industrial laundry and working at the PJ factory. Oh my god. I will die a happy man if I never have to read another Stephen King story that involves industrial laundry in some way. Like, it always comes up in everything he does. Because of course it does, you know? Like, I'm sure there's shit like that for myself. But anyway, what would I give this movie out of 10? Oh, brother. Maybe like a 7.5 out of 10? 7.5 out of 10. Maybe I'll sit with it longer and change my opinion, but 7.5.
And that's it. That's Stephen King's The Long Walk. Thank you guys so much for watching. I could have talked more about pretty much every single thing that I talked about in this video, so yeah, I consider this me showing restraint. Man, this was fun. I had no plans to make any kind of video like this, but I really enjoyed doing it, so I might do more if more is what you would want, maybe? Let me know. Drop a like, drop a comment, drop a Ray Garrity fanfic that you wrote for when him and Pete touch butts. I really want to read about touching butts, so happy Pride Month. Bye. I'll see you soon, maybe. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know